In this session, we'll be covering data transformation. What is data transformation? It is the process of modifying your data to fit a particular purpose or context. This can involve things like cleaning, standardization, aggregation. To doing your exploratory data analysis, you begin to spot errors or inconsistencies in your data. So data transformation is where you address those inconsistencies. It could be missing data, it could be misspelled data, it could be maybe columns where it's supposed to be integers, you have it as string. For example, our age column, we have it as object, but we know our age is a number, so we expect it to be a float or an integer.
You start asking yourself questions. My age is supposed to be numbers. Why am I getting it as an object or as a string? So if we go back to when we created our age, you see that this 55 is supposed to be numbers, but it was reported as a string. So this is why this is converting this to an object. So now these are some of the things you start doing in transformation. You want to start changing what are the columns that are supposed to be numbers that are coming up as strings, and what are the other ones that are supposed to be strings that are coming up. So these are some of the questions you start asking yourself. So now to change my age column to number, so that you convert this 555 that is a string to number, you could just come here and do df dot. So there's another way you could access columns. We'll do df dot age. It gives me this. If I do df age, it's still the same thing. But why this is mostly like I prefer using this is where you have space. For example, if I want to check my income, so this is the income tab, right? If I do df income and do space and do this, for example, yeah, this returns something, right? But if I want to use the other method, df dot income, because of that space, I won't be able, this will return an error. So that's why I just prefer using the square brackets to call out things rather than using this method. So it depends on what works for you, you can do. So I want to convert so this one of them is showing as string. So if I want to convert let me say df.age, I want to make it now a string. But if I do that, I can do let's do .dtype. It's showing that it's a string, it's showing 0, comma. So I want to quickly do something. So I can do df age is equals to df dot dtype, df this age dot as type. And by the time I run this, so it has changed it to a float. So now if I carry out, so now I can carry out numeric operations using the age, because now it's now a float rather than a string. So this is what you do basically for data analysis. You just start looking at all the things. So part of the data transformation is converting your columns to what they are supposed to be. So when you look at what are supposed to be integers, what are supposed to be floats, what are supposed to be strings, and you start converting. Same thing with our by the time I print this as dtype, so what's the type of data in it? It's showing this as a string. So I could also convert them to columns basically. So by the time I do the same thing for this, so by the time I print this again, it has changed it to a float. So if I come here and do describe, df.describe again, remember what our describe gave us initially. So it's now giving us like, so this is what it's supposed to give us. But yeah, because we didn't have it in the right formation, just give us this. But it's supposed to give us the unique count, like the count you have in each of them. And you have some missing values. You have your mean. So what's the mean distribution in your data? What's your stand? So this is what it describe is supposed to give to you. So it just picks out all the numeric columns and carries out this first pass analysis on. So another thing you want to do is you want to check, there's what we call is NA basically. So I want to see how many columns are empty in each of them. So I could do, let's start with some df age dot is NA. So if I run this, for example, it just gives us a first true value. So if I want to just, for example, I have over 100, I won't be looking at first, blah, blah, blah. So I want to see how many, just sum everything for me. I'll do sum dot sum. It shows me that I have 2 columns here that are empty. Basically, then you could do this for other columns. So this is still part of exploring the data frame to see what you have. I could do, what other columns do we have there?
You can check for the missing rows in each of the column rather than doing it column by column. If you do df.isNA.sum, it shows you how many missing rows you have in each column. For example, for name here you have 1 missing row, age you have 2 rows with missing age value.
Let me see gender. So we have just 1 column that is sum. I could also, for gender, I would want to do dot, and so gender, I'm supposed to have just male or female. For example, I do n unique. I'm getting 6. Why am I getting 6 different gender? I'll say, okay, let me see how many genders do. Let me see all the genders I have. I'll do unique. So I'm having some as capital letter. I'm having some as small letter. I'm having none, a none on its own like NA. I'm having it as string. So I now start looking for, so how do I convert everything? First of all, I may want to convert all the small letters to capital letters. I want to say, okay, this none not available. I could just make it NA, like missing value. So when you see NA in Python, it means that there's no number there. So all these places UNA or none, yeah, just make it not a number rather than just having it as NA. So we want to say, okay, this male gender and female gender, let's convert all the small letters to capital letters, basically. So we can now say, okay, let's start. So I'm already looking at data transformation, data cleaning, basically. I can say df gender dot equals to df dot string. So I'm making it a string, then dot replace. So I can now pass it a dictionary. So what do I want to replace? I could say first of all, so there are different ways to go about this. You could do F. So I want to convert this to capital letter. Since we just have only 2 things we want to convert, it's just easier to do this. Yeah, male. So by the time I run this, basically replace missing 1 argument. Okay, so string dot replace. Take this out. Yeah, so I just take out that string dot replace. So by the time I run this again, so it has reduced. So now I want to change this, my none NA is to not a number, basically. So now, so in what we call is NA, so not a number, NA. So rather than having it as string, I could have easily passed it here also. I'm just done where we have NA, NP dot none. So by the time I run this again, you see that NA as it's appeared, I have it as none. I could also change. So yeah, it's just more like passing out the dictionary for the things you want to change in your data, basically. So I have none. I could also make it NP dot none. So it's just picking it as none, basically. Then I have none itself. Change none to NP dot NA none. By the time I run this and I do df gender, so now I just have 3 things. So my male, female, then the missing values. If I do the same df gender dot is NA, remember, then we do dot sum, shows us the sum of the how many rows are we having missing values? So we have three. So if I do my DF, for example, again, you see how under gender, we have this, we have this, we have this. So we have three rows where we are missing items. So you could just do the same thing for the other ones, and that's how you move about and just look at data changes